Minister for Education, Mr. Heng Swee Keat, principals and teachers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The Minister for Education has asked me to speak to you on the English language. It gives me great pleasure to be present this afternoon at the launch of the English Language Institute of Singapore. It shows how far Singapore has come in terms of establishing English as a lingua franca among what was 46 years ago a community of polyglots speaking a variety of dialects and languages. When Singapore became independent in 1965, we had a population that spoke a range of different dialects and languages. This was a result of the colonial education system, which favored the English-speaking but allowed vernacular schools with different media of instructions to coexist. The political and economic realities led us to choose English as our working language. 75% of the population then was Chinese, speaking a range of dialects, something around 12 or 13 dialects, 14% Malays, 8% Indians. Making Chinese the official language of Singapore was out of the question, as the 25% who were non-Chinese would revolt. In addition, the geographical reality was, and remains today, that Singapore would be economically isolated from the wider world if Chinese was chosen. Then China, then and now, could not be much of a help for our economic development. With 700 square kilometers of land, we could not make a living out of agriculture. Trade and industry was our only hope for economic survival. To attract investors here, to set up their manufacturing plants, our people had to speak English, the language that is either the first or the second language of the major economies of the world. English was our best choice, the language of international diplomacy, science, technology, international finance, and commerce, especially after World War II. The British had spread the English language across several hundred millions in Asia and Africa, and the old Commonwealth of Canada, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. The Americans inherited this huge English-speaking mass when they became the dominant power after World War II, and they made the language the largest language spoken across many nations. So I was quite surprised that even Francophone Africans, when they face CNN today, they speak in English to reach the wider audience of the world, which reminds us how lucky we were not to have been colonized by the French. The choice of English as our lingua franca gives all races equal opportunities through a common language to learn, communicate, and work in. But we also kept our original languages by our policy of bilingualism, allowing opportunities for people to study their respective mother tongues. It is not easy to juggle two languages. One is the master language, and the second language is always less competent than the first. But for us, it is important that we have this bilingualism. It will build a sense of belonging to our original roots and increase our self-confidence and self-respect, because we will never be British or Americans. Thus, a united, multi-ethnic, multilingual people has ensured Singapore's survival through the use of the English language. Had we not chosen it, we would have been left far behind. We are the only country in the region that uses English as our working language, the main medium of instruction in our schools. This has given our young a strong advantage of growing up in a multicultural and multilingual society, all speaking the international language of commerce and trade, English, and at the same time their mother tongues, Chinese, Malay, Tamil, as the second languages. English-speaking Singaporeans are sought after by MNCs, international organizations, and NGOs, because we can connect with the English-speaking world and can operate comfortably in multicultural environments in countries like China, India, Malaysia, and Indonesia, because of our second language. Singaporeans add value to these economies by being able to speak both in English and Mandarin and other major Asian languages, acting as a bridge between them and the peoples of America, Europe, Japan, India, and ASEAN countries. As an English-speaking society today, we have drawn foreign talent to our shores. That would not have been possible had we chosen any other language. There is an intense worldwide competition for talent, especially for English-speaking skilled professionals, managers, and executives. And our English-speaking environment is one reason why Singapore has managed to attract a number of these talented individuals to complement our own talent pool. They find it easy to work and live in Singapore and remain plugged into the global economy. Singapore is also the popular education choice for many young Asians who want to learn English, and they get a quality education. This has kept our city vibrant. But there are future challenges. It's given us a head start vis-a-vis our neighbors, but this competitive edge is not permanent. Because competence in English is no longer just a competitive advantage, many countries are trying to teach their children English. It's a basic skill that many children want to acquire in the 21st century. And the reason why 40 or 50,000 Chinese students from China and tens of thousands from the region come to our schools to have English as their main language and keep their mother tongues as a second language. Many countries in the region realize the importance of schooling their young in English, but it will take decades to restructure a country's language policy. For example, the demand for English language teachers in these countries has grown in recent years, and English schools are mushrooming in China, Thailand, Vietnam. Vietnam, you remember, was French-speaking. This is a worldwide phenomenon. Even native English-speaking countries are concerned about the standard of English among their people. The UK and the US want to raise their standards of English.